welcome to What Makes Us Human podcast. I'm your girl, Ayanna.
And I'm Pia. And today, I think I want to get into talking about toxic relationships, Ayanna.
Okay.
I had a chance to watch that clip of Cardi B talking about Offset. She was on like Instagram Live or something like that. And it was just raw human emotion. I mean, it was just toxicity at its highest level. I don't know if you saw the clip or if anyone else saw the clip. So let's just run a little piece of it, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of talk more.
And let's get into it. All right, let's roll.
Yo, I really don't like doing the internet shit. I really, really don't like doing the internet shit. You need to stop calling me. Your shit. Cause you will fucking talk to a nigga and a motherfucker will play in your fucking face, over and over and over and over and over again. And she'll be like, watch what I'm about to do. Watch what I'm about to say. And it's so fucking sad that a nigga like to, this motherfucker really like to play games with me when I'm at my most vulnerable time, when I'm not the most confident. He like to play games with me because he knows I'm not an easy girl. He knows. Yesterday, I could have been out. I could have been chilling. I could have been this and that. He knows I'm in my house. He knows that I'm chilling. He knows I'm not doing the most. And I've really been sparing you. You've been fucking feeling yourself, you bitch-ass nigga, because of your bitch-ass album and shit. And you really been fucking doing me dirty after so many fucking years that I motherfucking helped your ass. Not even a fucking thank you that I got for your bitch ass. And it's so crazy that I gotta go to the fucking internet because whenever I tell you something, you don't take shit seriously. And I'm so tired of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was deep. That was, it's heart-wrenching, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could feel like you said, it was raw. It was real, you know?
She's hurt. She's hurt. But see, I think what she doesn't understand is that it starts and ends with her. She has control over the situation, right? The clip, it feels like she feels like it's a helpless and hopeless situation, but she actually has control over that situation. Right?
Absolutely. And, I love that you brought this clip up because we unfortunately sensationalize celebrities like they aren't human, like they don't have human experiences. This is a woman, this is a wife, this is a mother. And just because she happens to be a multimillionaire artist doesn't mean that she doesn't go through emotional turmoil, tumultuous, toxic relationships. It just so happens that her life is on front page news.
Exactly. Well, actually,
we've all been there, honey. I done cut somebody out like that myself.
Well, according to a study by the National Domestic Violence Hotline, over 70% of people have experienced emotional abuse in a relationship. 70%.
70%. Now, again, like I said, that's what makes most of us human is that unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves in toxic relationships. And it could do a number of things to you, to your emotional well-being, to your mental health, and to your physical health. Being in a toxic relationship and being connected to someone that is causing you harm, emotionally and or physically. We've all been there.
We've all been there. Let me just read out some statistics. So research indicates that individuals in a toxic relationship have a higher risk of developing mental health issues such as depression and anxiety, right? Age factor. young adults ages 18 to 24 are more likely to report experiencing toxic behaviors in a relationship, according to
Absolutely.
the American Psychological Association.
Right. But it doesn't mean that it isn't happening
Yeah.
to those over the young adult age.
Mhm.
And then, this is no surprise. Another statistics around gender is that women are more likely to be victims of emotional abuse. But it's important to note, because I always say this,
Yes.
it's on both sides of the table,
It's
because
on both sides of the coin.
men absolutely can be victims of emotional and physical abuse.
Mhm.
It's oftentimes not as supported or
Exactly.
accepted, and men aren't usually taken serious when they claim emotional or physical abuse in relationships, but men are victims of it as well.
Oh,
Women are
definitely.
just more likely to report it and more likely to be victimized.
Definitely. I had a client who was a male once. This was years ago.
Hmm.
His wife actually set him on fire. They got
Wow.
into an argument. She splashed something on him and set him on fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a crime. Okay.
Exactly.
Listen,
Exactly.
folks,
Exactly.
physical and emotional abuse is unacceptable in any relationship.
Yes.
If your emotional well-being and your physical well-being is not at the forefront in your relationship, then it's not the place for you to be in.
Mm.
And we say this, but I wanted to throw that disclaimer in. I
Yeah.
wanted to add that in,
Yeah.
that your safety is paramount
Number one.
in all relationships.
It's number one. It's number one. You know.
So
And
go ahead, Pia.
did you
What were you
know
gonna say?
on average, because people always say, well, why don't you leave? On average, it usually takes an individual up to 7 attempts to get out of a toxic relationship.
7.
7.
Wow. And I was gonna ask before you added that fact, what do you think causes people to get in and stay in a toxic relationship?
Well, sometimes it's economics, right? People don't leave because they feel like they can't afford to leave. They can't support themselves. They might have children,
Mhm.
that they have to support. Low self-esteem. They feel like they don't deserve better. They can't get any better than what they have now. I mean,
Mhm.
there are so many different factors to people getting into and staying out of. Sometimes that's what they know, right? They know relationships as being places of conflict, right?
Yeah.
Partners as being people of conflict, right? Because they're
Yeah.
conditioned to it. That's what they grew up seeing. That's what they modeled. That's what their life is. If you're not arguing, if you're not in some type of conflict, then you don't love me. This isn't a real relationship.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up 2 good points, and you touched on one that I wanted to touch on, because
Mhm.
I'm gonna speak from an I statement, and from a place of my own personal experiences. I've dealt with and had past experiences that were toxic, that were emotionally harmful and draining. And I think from my own experience, it was a sense of worthiness. If I
Mm.
had to, in hindsight, sit and say to myself, well, why did you accept certain things? Why did you stay after certain things occurred? Why did you deal with or not deal with certain things when it happened in my past relationships that were toxic? And it was a sense of this is as good as it gets.
Yes.
Also, the what I call the potential syndrome. I mentioned
Oh my
that in
goodness.
Ooh,
Mhm.
child. I mention that in session all the time. The potential. They got the
Yes. They got the
potential
potential.
to do better.
Yes.
One
Yes.
day,
Next week
they're
is the
gonna
fries.
magically,
Hmm.
transform into this
Yeah.
person that I see. I see the potential
Exactly.
in them.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of BS that I was telling
Definitely.
myself, to be complacent in a situation that was harmful to me emotionally, that did not serve me
Yeah.
emotionally. And something that a lot of people don't touch on, but I'm gonna touch on, I'm gonna be real with myself. It was also my ego.
Ah, that's
It was
interesting.
also my ego, honey,
Do
because
tell.
all right, I'm gonna get real. I'm gonna read myself. I'll read myself
Okay.
so nobody else has to read Ayanna. It was,
Mm.
I beat them other women. He comes home to me.
Oh.
I'm the choice. I won. I finally locked him down. I done had to go through all the foolishness to get him, so I ain't leaving.
Mm.
I'm gonna be the one that makes him the honest man. I'm gonna be the one that makes him the family man. And all you other chicks, or all you other distractions, or all you
Mm.
other things that think you can compete with me, you can't compete with me. My love trumps all of yours. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
absolutely my ego. Absolutely. And that was insane
Yeah.
because in turn, what I was teaching my previous partner was that I didn't respect myself and that I didn't value
Exactly.
myself.
Exactly. So he
And
didn't
that
have to respect you or value you, right?
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. But I'm sitting here saying I done won the man, like I
Mhm.
done won the prize.
A prize.
And I was sitting in misery. I was sitting in misery. It was toxic and I was miserable and I lost myself in it.
Mhm. Mm.
And so the moments become days, the days become months, the months become years. And you look up, and like you said, Pia, it takes people 7 times on average to leave.
Times on
You
average.
look up, and now you're in this trajectory of years of being connected to a person that is tearing you down.
That you don't like, and they, quite frankly, don't like you.
Right,
Right?
right. Y'all
But
don't even like each other.
you're comfortable at this point,
You
right?
don't like
You're
yourself when
comfortable
you're
in
with
the
them.
discomfort. Exactly.
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 In the
Comfortable in the
toxicity.
discomfort.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's become your baseline
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
feeling miserable.
Yeah.
Honey, I used to go home and sit in my car for hours because I didn't want to go in the house yet.
Yeah. I've
Because
been
it was
there.
a headache to go in the house
Been
and
there.
be with the person I lived with every day. It was no peace. That was how my life was. And I normalized that.
Yeah.
That was normal. But it wasn't. It was toxic. I felt trapped
Mhm.
and suffocated in that situation. And when I ask myself now why I stayed, it was very much ego. I didn't want to come off like a failure, that I couldn't
Yeah.
keep a man, that I couldn't make a relationship work. And it was worthiness, that this
Yeah.
is as good as it gets. This is what you got to work with. So make it work.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Make it work.
So I understand why people stay. I also
Mhm.
understand why people enter into it.
Why do you think they enter into it?
Um, I think, like you said, some people have really terrible examples of what love
Mhm.
is, of
Mhm.
what respect in relationship is. They really
Yeah.
don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so when someone comes around showing them interest,
Yeah.
and again, it boosts the ego. You get serotonin, you get all those good
Good
hormones when
feeling.
somebody's showing you
Mhm.
interest,
Yeah.
when somebody's coming around and saying what sounds good, but there isn't any action behind it, when you're
Exactly.
not really being objective in looking at their character traits and looking at the things that they do versus the things that they're telling you, and it all sounds great, you kind
Well,
of
they're
get
master
lost in it.
manipulators, right? They're master
Yes.
manipulators. They're
And
really,
people
really
lie
good
to
at it.
themselves all the time. What you think, they ain't gonna lie to you?
Exactly. Exactly. They're predators, right? Because
Oh
they
yeah.
can sniff out individuals who might be lacking in self-esteem or
Yes,
self-worth. And so they lock in on that prey, they manipulate, and they got you.
exactly. Some people, listen, I always used to say there are people who love out of necessity, that use.
Yes.
Love is a byproduct of survival for them. Okay, I
Yes.
need a place to live. I need some food. I need some money. I need X, Y, and Z. And this
Mm-hmm.
person looks like some stability I can attach myself to. So I'm
Yes.
gonna play the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the role. I'm gonna say whatever gets me in the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pay
Definitely.
attention to when their actions tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
Or when here's a sign for me that I now know that I didn't know in hindsight, is if when you set a boundary and they manipulate your boundary. or they
Oh,
try to manipulate your boundary.
definitely.
That's a
Definitely.
red flag.
Definitely. When they gaslight you, right?
That's
That's a
it.
red flag, right?
That's
When
a
you
red
feel like you're
flag.
walking on eggshells in your own house, right? You feel
Okay.
diminished, you feel belittled, right? You physical signs, you get headaches, fatigue,
Oh
change of
yeah.
appetite, change of sleep pattern, right? These are
Stomach
all
and
signs.
knots. Oh yeah.
Stomach and knots. These are all signs of a toxic relationship.
Hmm. Now here's the thing. Statistic also shows that only a small percentage of people in toxic relationships actually seek out professional help. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. I think part of it might be a little embarrassment, right? People are a lot of times embarrassed to admit that they they're associated and affiliated with someone who is a master manipulator, right? Or that, this relationship didn't work out. Some of it is the stigma behind, getting help, behind
Yes.
mental health counseling, right? I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious. I just need to get rid of this motherfucker, right? That's what they say to themselves. And,
Right.
and that's what they do. But then when they do that, they end up finding someone else just like them.
Come on. Because the pattern, the problem is you
Exactly.
and
That's
your
why I said
choices.
with Cardi B, it starts and ends with her, right? Because the
But
issue
everything
is
does.
you, your choices, your self esteem, your self worth, right? It's not about him. It's about you working on yourself. It's not about your partner. It's
Come
about what
on.
you need to do for yourself.
Come on. Because when you know better, you what?
You
You
do
do
better.
better.
You do better.
Okay? And that's the truth. I had oh my goodness, I had so many come to Jesus moments after my last relationship. But one of the more profound come to Jesus moment for me is when I realized I broke my own heart.
Oh,
I think that was when I pulled up my big girl drawers, as they say, when I was a woman about the situation, and I was like, this person, my ex, never lied to me. Like they showed up
yes.
exactly who they were
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
day
From day
one.
one. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that he didn't have his sugar honey iced tea with him
Yeah.
and that he
Yeah.
didn't have his tricks and he didn't have his manipulation, but I can't say that the wool was over my eyes. I knew exactly who he was.
You
I knew
lied to you.
exactly.
He didn't lie to you. You lied to you.
I lied to myself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I at least him. If you got to say at least they don't, that ain't good enough. At least he comes
Yeah.
home. Girl, that ain't
Yeah.
good enough.
That's not good
Because
enough.
what you're saying to the universe and what you're saying to yourself is, I deserve the least.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not
So
worthy of the best.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat there and I realized, like, yo, he did not lie to you one bit. That person showed up as flawed, as damaged, and as messed up as he ended up being, is how he was on day one. And you still said, okay, I'll go for this ride.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'll join into this confusion. And when I took ownership of the fact that I broke my own heart, then I also started to take ownership in the healing process of my heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you said
Um,
something about joining
go
into
ahead.
the confusion. Sometimes we contribute to the confusion, right?
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, absolutely.
We give it
Or
energy.
we bring our own toxicity. We don't even know that
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
listen.
Yeah.
You have to be accountable for your actions too. Like you
Yes, you
said,
do.
it does start and end with Cardi. And yes, we saw that clip and we feel her pain and we feel her anger directed at her spouse. But
Mm-hmm.
best believe she played a part in the toxicity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am
Definitely.
sure she added to the dynamics. There is no right or wrong. There is no
No.
you're 100% right and this person is 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody plays collectively into a relationship. So yeah, we all got a part. So Pia, listen, I realized I had a part to play in it, but I didn't even know at the time that I was in a toxic relationship. I just felt like all relationships go through their up and downs, and
Yeah.
this is just the part of being in a relationship with somebody, is that you go through some good times and some bad times. And maybe that was just me lying to myself as well, and not really admitting how toxic it was. But what are some key dynamics to identify a toxic relationship that you would point out to a client? Like maybe this relationship is toxic.
I think one thing would be a power imbalance, right? Where one partner often holds the power and uses it to control or manipulate the other. It can be emotionally, it can be financially. Usually it's
Mhm.
financially, right? Different manipulation tactics, like gaslighting your partner, making them
Mhm.
think they're insane, or they're not in touch with
Mhm.
reality. Things of that nature.
I have
Those are
one.
those are two big ones. What's
I
yours?
got another big one that I think is important to mention.
Hmm.
Isolation.
Isolation. Yes. Yes.
Isolation. If they want to keep you away from family
Yes.
and friends and from your
Hmm.
support network that you had before you were attached to them,
That's
that's
right.
a red flag, honey, that
That's
you
right.
might be in a toxic situation when they want
Hmm.
to keep
Hmm.
you separated from important relationships
Yeah.
outside of your relationship. That's a
Yeah.
big one.
And prevents you from growing, right? From
Mm.
growing, prevents you from meeting new people, prevents you from growing in your career,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Growing in your inner circle, your social circle, right?
Oh yeah.
Jealousy, all of that.
Jealousy is
Yeah.
another huge red flag.
Yeah.
Aggression, even
Hmm.
verbal aggression, the
Hmm.
cussing, the screaming, the
Yeah.
name calling, that is a toxic
Yeah,
situation
definitely.
that
Have you
can
ever seen
easily
those
escalate.
relationships where, you know, they do everything together? They're always together. If you speak to one, you got to speak to the other one. Like, my
Hmm.
life is your life and your life is my life. That is just the most insane, toxic behavior I've ever seen.
I
Some
agree.
people call it love. It's not love. It
No,
really isn't love. It
it's
is toxic.
smothering. It's
It's
smothering.
smothering.
They are
Yes.
smothering each other.
Yes.
And I almost guarantee that one of the people in there created that dynamic and the
Oh,
other
definitely.
just went
Definitely.
along with it, which is again a
Definitely.
system of control where you
Hmm.
can't go anywhere without this person. You can't do anything without this person being at your side 24/7. You have no individual interests. You have no individual things outside of the
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've been there where
Yeah.
I wanted to do stuff. I wanted to go out, and then my partner was like, "No," and I would change my
Yes.
plans because
Exactly.
it'd be
Exactly.
emotional manipulation. Oh, you're gonna
Hmm.
have an attitude if
Hmm.
I go out, so it's just easier for me to stay
It's just
in.
easier to stay in the house,
Toxic,
right? Because I don't
toxic,
want to have
toxic,
to deal
toxic.
with that. Exactly. Exactly. So,
Hmm.
when you work with people and you recognize this is going on in their relationships, what are some of the strategies? What are some of the things that you teach them?
Well, first and foremost, I start with self because, as you pointed out,
Yeah.
it all starts and ends with self, and they are really
Yes,
in
it does.
control. So I
Hmm.
try to take them back to a locus of control. What do
Hmm.
you have control over in your relationship,
Yeah.
especially in people who are in toxic relationships where they feel like their power has been taken away and that they feel hopeless?
Yeah.
I try to help them
Strength focused,
examine.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I try to help them examine, where do you have power or where can you take your power back?
Exactly.
And once they identify where they have power or where they can take their power back, then I start to talk about setting healthy boundaries,
Hmm.
setting
Hmm.
clearer boundaries, because it's easy for you to sit across from me and I'm your therapist and I'm like, girl, you need to leave him because he ain't shit.
Oh, yeah.
I can easily say that. And most of the time that's screaming in the back of my mind when I'm
Yes.
sitting with a client. But when you have somebody that has enmeshed their life with someone and really believes that this is the best it can get, or that they feel trapped, or that they feel hopeless, and you have to build up their sense of courage to be able to want better for themselves before you
Hmm.
say you need to want better for yourself. You have to
Yeah.
build up their sense of self-worth,
Exactly.
their sense of love, their sense of knowing that they deserve better.
Hmm.
And so we really explore the conditionings and the
Hmm.
narratives that they tell themselves when
Yeah.
it comes to their relationship. And I gently, call out some inconsistencies.
Gotcha.
Like when they're like, "Oh, my man is great, but sometimes he." I'm like, okay. I noticed you, you said he was great, but I also noticed that you don't like when he da 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 da. And are you able to speak up when your partner does something that you don't like?
Exactly. Have you found your voice? Are
Yeah,
you able to advocate for yourself? That's important.
absolutely.
That's important.
I asked them to identify their support system outside of their relationship. Who
Mm-hmm.
else do you
Mm-hmm.
have that is a crucial person in your life that
Yeah.
you can depend on, that you can go to, that would help you out if you need be?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that they realize it's not just them and that person against the world.
Exactly. I also do a lot of safety planning, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're going to talk about leaving a relationship that's toxic, right? Will there be emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, right? And so I first and foremost, we talk about how can I leave safely? If they want to stay in the relationship, how can I stay in this relationship and protect my mental health, my physical health, my well-being if they choose to stay in the relationship, right?
Hmm.
Also educating them, providing them information about the dynamics of a toxic relationship and how
Yeah.
they can recognize those unhealthy patterns, and if they see some of those unhealthy patterns within themselves, how they can make the change, right, to move towards a healthier way of life for themselves. And normally when they do that, then they recognize exactly how unhealthy their partner is
Oh, yeah.
and they want to jump ship and leave, right? Once again, it starts with self. Once you recognize how unhealthy a person is, right, you want to leave, but you have to see it first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's raising, like you said, raising awareness and educating them on the signs, and also strength building. Where's their
Yeah,
own resilience? Where is
definitely.
their own strength in this
Mm,
process? Because a lot of people feel a sense of hopelessness. Like, I
yes.
can't get out of this. I'm
Yeah.
stuck. I'm trapped. The kids, the
Yes.
bills, our
Yeah.
lives are enmeshed. He's on everything. He's my emergency contact on everything. How can I walk away? And so, building that resiliency, especially when there's been a power dynamic in the relationship,
Yes, definitely.
to help them
Definitely.
realize you can rely on yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these are some ways you can do so. Also, um, what's been helpful with me in the session, and I know that therapists say this all the time, and I've said it before, but it really is coming from a non-judgmental place, because it's easy to judge people from the outside. It's easy to be like,
Oh,
you
definitely.
dealing with that? That's a
Definitely.
hot mess. Girl, you can't see it's a hot mess. But I remember we're all human. And what makes us human is that we all deal with some things that are hot messes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what helps me relate to my clients is I can empathize, because, girl, I done been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I done been there. So showing up uh, with that in mind, that I can't pass judgment, because I myself
Exactly.
at one point was
Exactly.
connected to somebody that was very toxic and very detrimental to my well-being emotionally and physically. I can't pass judgment on anybody that sits across from me that's currently in that
Exactly.
situation. But I know from my own personal journey and my own personal work that you can come out of it and come out of it whole.
Yes,
And
you
so
can.
that's what I share with my clients as well.
Yeah, a sense of being, like a sense of it'll be okay, right?
Yeah,
You can get through
yeah.
this. You can get through
You
this.
can't, I'm telling you, from a recovering toxic lover, you can get
Yes, you
past it.
can. How
You
about
can.
from the perspective of someone who was once toxic themselves,
You
right?
can get past that
You
too.
can get past that.
Okay.
You can get
There is
past that.
growth for us all. And I think that's a good place to wrap up the conversation,
Definitely.
Pia, is that there is life outside of this toxic relationship. There's life
Hmm.
after. There is always an opportunity for redeemable qualities for everybody involved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Future focus, right? Helping them to
yeah,
plan the future, right? Focusing on personal growth and well being.
yeah, absolutely. If I had to give one takeaway to anybody who is currently feeling like they're in a toxic relationship and currently dealing with a relationship that is causing them emotional stress or physical harm, I would say is that one, even if you don't believe it right now as the words leave my mouth, you are worthy of a love that doesn't hurt. You are
Exactly.
worthy of partnership that uplifts you, that sees the best in you, that magnifies the best in you, that leaves space for you to grow, and that you can be your whole and complete self in. You absolutely deserve that. And it exists.
It
And so you
does.
don't have to settle. You don't have to stay. You don't have to deal with. And I understand that right now in this moment, if you are dealing with that, it might seem harder to leave than it is to stay. But you deserve to be in a space that is completely safe and healing and at peace for
Definitely.
you.
Definitely.
And so I
It gets
hope
better.
that if you're looking for help, help is right here at Transformation Counseling Services. You can find help here or anywhere you go. You can and will have beautiful love outside of this experience, but you don't have to stay in a toxic experience. That's
Definitely.
my 2 cents on it.
It's a good place to end. So if you're looking for help, you can find us on Instagram at Transformation Counseling SVCS. That's
That's it.
transfer at Transformation Counseling SVCS.
We'll
Or you
drop it
can
at the
shoot
bottom.
us a email. Yes, we'll drop it at the bottom. Or you can shoot us an email at transformcounselingservices.com. Right? We offer free consultations. So if you're looking for help, contact us. We're there for
That's
you.
it. Listen, y'all, be good to yourselves, be good to others. And remember, what makes us human also makes us connected. So we're all connected in this human experience. And, we can all make it a little easier on each other if we did this experience with more love. So love on yourself, love on each other. And until the next time, we'll see you.
See
Bye,
you. Be
y'all.
good to yourself and be good to others.
All right. Bye.